Hey, folks, welcome back to the Sleeping Grush podcast. We're going to try to make it through the intro here. We're all laughing because
Episode 19,
episode
take 2.
Folks, we're brought to you by Cardboard Corner Cafe, Kansas City's premier gaming cafe. You guys want to stop by and get something great to eat, a nice drink, and just have hundreds of games sitting on the wall ready for you to play. It's a great spot, and we happen to be there.
Lore Master Matt and Faelon Jon are here along with the Mad Jager.
Producer Jager, the Mad Jager.
Mad Jager of the West.
We're all in the same room. Been a while since that
while.
happened. That's really awesome. We're enjoying that today. Folks, this is episode 19. Like we said a minute ago, we've got a lot going on. We said it a couple times. We will make it through this, I promise.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's been a lot going on this week. Jon and Julie are just back from a little trip to Seattle. And Jon, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys found?
Yeah, Julie and I did let's just call it the way it really is. Julie did.
right.
Julie did a short demo day. I just walked around and CEO'd. Yeah. Julie did her magical short demo. We call it a booth demo, but it's not a booth demo when you're at a game store. It's no booth, but
right.
At a store called the Mox Boarding House in Seattle. And a really well laid out store, great employees. They were super. One of the employees took one of the demos.
Cool.
Super nice people to work with. And a really interesting design, similar to here, a full bar and grill.
Nice.
Not a waffle bar. And we had a sandwich that was great. And then mostly board games. The miniatures, Games Workshop and not a lot else.
Oh.
Atomic Mass.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. The big popular
stuff. It was really cards and of course Mox,
Right.
It was really cards and board games. But interestingly, the board games were on, there was a bunch of tables, and the board games were arranged on these tables. Instead of mostly being on shelves, they were on these tables with a sign by type.
Okay, that's cool.
Right. So like action selection games, like Frosthaven.
Right.
Action selection was the title, and then all the games were like, so if you like that mechanic or that style, fantasy cooperative, whatever, you could go and pick out your kind and see them all. That was interesting.
Cool.
Very interesting. Yeah,
I like that.
Very cool. They had a very nice tournament room, purpose-built tournament room. They had a card game tournament that day. They had the big screen on the wall with the pairings running alongside the clock.
I love it.
Right. People came in. There was an employee there with a volunteer. I don't know. I assume, whatever. Great person doing great work.
Right.
Had a laptop, taking people's names, popped up on the screen. You could see who was enrolled. Hit a button, turned it into pairings. People would go to their table and start playing their first round. It's really very well laid out.
That's a cool setup.
Yeah. And so we were in the miniatures area, 4 tables, with terrain that we could use the tables. We didn't need the terrain because we brought our standard booth demo.
Of course.
Yeah. And she did her thing. And I, helped. Like the dog. I helped. Yeah. No, answer questions,
Sure,
talk
absolutely.
to the bystanders, whatever. But she's got it down so cool.
Yeah, she just gets in that mode and she just plows ahead.
You're not getting away. You'll
Okay.
lose a hand. So we weren't there terribly long, just a small part of the afternoon, but it was very, very worth it. It was great to talk to people about gaming in general. Free Blades, obviously, very, top of that list, but just games in general. And great hosts.
Cool.
So I hope something comes out of that. I'd certainly go back.
We've seen a couple people come in off the Discord server,
Right?
That are from that store.
Yep.
I would assume because they're from Seattle. So, you lay the seeds, right? And that's awesome.
That's what you do.
Fantastic. So we had that going on. We just wrapped up our first annual lore contest, and this evening, as of the time of this, Jacob Metzinger and I, Jacob being the person that sponsored that contest, are going to sit down and read through those entries and start the scoring process.
Am I breaking ties?
You could, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. We had that happen. We've got a couple of tournaments coming up, one here in Kansas City and one in Michigan.
Right. Are they the same weekend?
They're the very same
Right,
weekend.
yeah, June 8th.
To the June 8th.
Mhm.
Yeah. We've got the Midwest
Fest.
Midwest Fest.
It's kind of strange. It's all in one gaming. Excuse me, puts that on. But there was another con called Midwest Game Fest.
Right.
Excuse me, please. And we're going to have a tournament there. They're not typically miniatures tournament oriented.
Right.
There'll be other game types there. We'll be very much the minority, but it's the Hy-Vee Arena, which is where we do Meatball-a-thon.
Yeah.
People know where it is, easy to get to. It's a nice venue.
Huge place, yeah.
Yeah, you got plenty of room.
Beautiful.
Yeah, sure. And you get the concession stands, all the big parking lot, all the things you need. And it's going to be, the format's going to be right off of our website's download section, the tournament 24-25 packet, Victory on the Wing.
Victory on the Wing.
The first one here that we'll have of that kind. 250, there's some special rules in there. Scenarios will be from that list that people won't know them until the day of. They're not announced in advance. I'll be running it. And if there's 8 players, a coin can be had.
That's going to be fun. Yeah. And then up in Michigan, and it's in Mount Pleasant, they're having a tournament with a barbecue.
It's Jerry Black's.
Yeah, Jerry Black is sponsoring that. So good food and a great game. So if you guys are in that area, that's a great tournament to get into as well.
Yeah, because we have a lot of Michigan coverage.
We do. We do.
You got to be very specific about what
right. Michigan, there's only 6 different cities up there that are hosting games. So that's really awesome. All right. And of course, we're just starting to see some of the renders and the new models come out for our Gen Con release. We won't spoil anything yet for those of you who haven't seen it, but
spoil something. Let's pick something to spoil it. What do you want to spoil?
There's so many good ones.
They're all good.
Just do the Night Lurker.
The Night Lurker, my favorite. Okay, yeah. So he's appealing to my base of interest.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah. So the Night Lurker is a Erdegar Ruin flying cavalry model.
Yeah.
It is a bat tribes person. On a giant bat, right? Beautiful
giant.
It's crazy good.
Oh my God.
I this was the year of Ruin for me anyway. I wanted to play Ruin a lot this year. And that kind of fell into the production schedule. I was like, okay, well, I'll just, as soon as I get my hands on one, I'm going to add it in. So it's still being play tested. It's not final yet because it won't be released until the summer. But
in fact, tonight he is going to play test it against me. And
against is so strong. You're so combative today.
I am.
You are combative. Put them up.
We're throwing hands right now.
That's right. What are you playing?
Just can't hear it.
You Corona?
Corona.
Yeah, sweet. That's awesome. Okay,
it's gonna be awesome.
I love those. I love the way you painted those guys. So it is a light cavalry. It's not a assault cavalry model. It's a hit and run.
Yeah.
It has piercing screech. So it's a special action that can screech and. People within 6 inches take an endurance test or bad things happen.
That's awesome.
Okay,
so just as a forewarning.
Yeah, because I'm about to use it.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, so there's a thing there. But anyway, but that's the rules. That's not the important thing. The important thing is how cool the model is.
It is just it's gorgeous.
Yeah, as always, we Matt has a schedule where we release early looks at models through the Patreon subscriptions.
Yes.
So the higher level subscription you have, the earlier you see these, and they kind of cascade down through the different subscription levels. So there's people who've already seen a Night Lurker.
So everybody's seen the concept art from it, and the Change Seekers and the World Builders have both seen the renders themselves. So there's a couple levels yet to go, but it's getting seen, and the comments coming back from it are crazy.
And we are benefiting from a new process the way we're making these models. We're not going to go into a lot of detail, but it's just a cut off.
It is.
I've been making some at home from the new prints and. Excuse me, at TGS headquarters, which may or may not look like, my basement.
Set up an exact replica.
Hey, some big companies started out that way. We're going to go from there to the yacht, so mobile headquarters. This process is allowed to do way less pieces.
Right.
We are going back as we are converting models from the old style way of doing them, especially the metal ones, reducing the pieces it takes, or just abandoning that sculpt and starting over in some cases.
Right. Which we ordered one that shall remain nameless just the other day.
We did. That's right. So the combination of what the artist is able to produce and our better ability to capture that
Right.
in a physical 3D model that's just night and day compared to when we started.
Oh, yeah. And getting better all the time.
Get better all the time.
Yep.
That's all we're going to do is get better.
That's right. And what a great segue
Into
to what we're talking about today.
well, we're talking about today, Lore Master Matt.
We are talking about you, Faelon.
Ah!
Well, kind of you and how.
Well, my parents met. And they got there. Not that chat. No, someone we're talking about. Okay.
That's how Brandon started last
I know,
week.
right? That's
Like, you know,
ripping off Brandon's excellent intro. He's the comedy genius, not me.
right. Well, you know, it's all right. So yeah, what we want to talk about today, folks, we want to talk about. We're going to rely on Jon's longstanding exposure in this industry.
And faulty memory.
A little bit of that, but let's hope that doesn't play in too far, and how that is playing out into the future of not just wargaming, but DGS as a whole, and how its role in the future of wargaming, and the company. Right, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the company because DGS is always expanding its scope. That's one thing. I've been with the company for almost 7 years now, and something that has been really fun for me to see is that we're not just static. We're not just doing this one thing. We're always trying another approach. We're expanding our world. And for me, that's really exciting because I'm one of those kind of people that just has to do something new and move in new directions. And I want to see more of the worlds that I'm invested in. And obviously, the world of Faelon is where I'm invested. So just to start us out, Jon, back when all of this started, when DGS started out, we say 11 years now, but obviously you guys were planning long before that.
Planning. Air quotes not visible to the listener.
So, what was your dream for DGS as a company when we started? What was your vision for how it would go?
Well, if you're talking, there's two things here. If you're talking about my personal vision,
Yes.
I just wanted to be part of a game company. We've talked about, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this part because we've talked about it already in the podcast, but, it wasn't, the mission was not to find a venue to put Faelon out there.
Right.
That was a bonus that came later,
Right.
unlooked for. Okay. I wanted to be part of a game company. I was part of one before DGS, and it did not, with some very good friends, still all good friends. It did not go where I wanted it to go, which is to keep making games and keep being in the industry and keep doing things.
Right.
So the original crew and I got into it. We wanted to make a game company. Then we started talking about what it is we wanted to do. And that ultimately, I don't know what episode, we'd have to go back and look. Very early, right?
Right, very early. Yeah.
It's a very early episode. We'll probably put it in the notes section. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, good call.
That we didn't start out, saying we want to make this game. We said we want to be a game company because we don't want to keep working for other people.
Right.
So we're all freelance play testers and volunteers for other companies, and we wanted to be part of our own. And then we decided what it was we wanted to get into.
Yeah. That
would lead to Faelon. Other things happen. Those people eventually leave, and we restart with eventually the 7 of us that we have now. Right. So it wasn't a grand scheme to bring Faelon. So I'm glad that's true.
Oh, me too.
What I won't agree to is to start a second world before we're ready.
Right.
So it's not that I want to do Faelon forever. I love Faelon. Obviously, I invented the thing originally, but and now we've got these great team members who are all contributing and part of the world, and it's not as good as it. It's better than it would be if I had done it by myself.
Sure.
No question. And we want to have Faelon go on forever. We may open another line or two or however many, but not before we're ready.
Right.
So it's not that we're doing Faelon because that's all we ever want to do. We're doing Faelon because we're going to do it until we are ready to have a second one and not hurt Faelon doing it.
Right.
I could mention a couple of game companies that made that error, but we're not going to talk about them here.
I don't have to. They're not around anymore.
It's true, they're not. So we don't want to do that. Although, when you talked about we have these things that are going on, we have lots of plans to expand. We do have a lot of things going on. One thing I took a note here, I'm going to talk about in a little bit later, is that it's time to start choosing.
Right.
We're going to talk about that.
Right.
Okay. But we do have a lot of different irons in the fire in terms of things that we want to do. Right. So, but the original idea was to have, I just wanted to be in the industry.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time on the outside of the convention door with the masses,
Right.
and I wanted to be a vendor. I wanted to be, a designer specifically. Ended up being a commercial equipment operator, but I wanted to be a designer when I started.
One.
It's right, yeah, I could work up to my 26-foot truck, so.
So when all of this kicked off, how big did you think it was going to get?
Well, I'm a plan for success person. Sure. So, I don't know that we're ever going to be, I don't know, Wizards or Games Workshop or something, but we're not going to stop trying.
Right.
So we're not going to let that discourage us. It was interesting that when we started, the big contender for the Games Workshop space was Privateer Press.
Interesting.
Right. Because you had another company making miniatures in their own world,
right,
with factions, tabletop games, a tournament system, all the same things you get out of lore, all the same things you get out of Games Workshop's world. And they were going after that market, and I think they tripped. I think they made some mistakes. And we are trying desperately to learn from them. So, and of course, Games Workshop keeps getting mentioned because 70% of all models made on the machine made by the same company. It's just a thing. They have the balance in the room. So if you're going to be playing in this space, you're going to be trying to take market share, whatever little nibble you get off of that monster. But we're never going to stop, right? So as long as we're going to be in the tabletop miniatures gaming business, we're going to be, and science fiction and fantasy, we're going to be in that space,
Right.
So I would like to always have it be bigger than it was the year before.
Right.
If it ever gets to that size before it's my time, I don't know. But we're not going to stop trying.
That's right. So let's talk about the last year, because I think the last year has been it just feels to me that the last year has been like this very large turning point for the company as a whole, and I hate to say market share, but it is a market share.
Right.
So talk about like where we were a year ago and like where we are now and the changes that we've made, and because we've brought on a new team member, we've expanded just exponentially, just to give people some scope of how we're growing and how we're changing. Tell us.
Yeah, there's a key point in our history within the last year where we weren't seeing what we wanted to see out of the company. And the group of us and serendipitously picked the best place to have a meeting about it that you could have picked. It was amazing.
It was a really cool place.
It was a cool place. We need to go back to sit down and sort of hash it out. Why we're making progress. We're not making progress at the rate we want to make progress.
Right.
And what changes do we need to make? And not anywhere near all of those changes are in place yet.
Right.
Like you say, we're on a path for all of them.
Yeah.
And we opened up some new lines of effort behind the scenes in order to start to expand that, so we can do these different things. And now it's come time to fish.
Right.
Stop cutting bait and fish. So we got to start picking. I had this conversation with Jeff and Colin the other day, and one of the things we're going to be doing this week is proposing back to the team which of those things that we have been doing in the background. It's time to do one.
Right.
All the way through.
Right.
Not have 5 things on simmer, have 4 things on simmer and 1 done.
Right.
So we have a suggestion as to which one of those projects it is. So we need to do that. We need to deliver.
Right.
And we deliver in a way that's going to accelerate how we deliver things to, our fans, our players.
Right. So, we've conventionally been a tabletop gaming company, right? We have miniatures, we have rules, we sit squarely in that space. I don't see us ever leaving that space.
Well,
but that space is changing.
The space is changing.
So tell me about how that space is changing.
Well,
in your view.
Yeah. So if there ever becomes a day where, technologies go through these similar phases. Right. Cell phone's always the great example, right? It starts out, it's the size of a small suitcase. And it's wired into the dashboard of your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. I always remember the scene from, I'm going to date myself, the Partridge Family. The man just got one of these things in his car because he's rich. Right. And it's the size of his head, So they come out, they are large and expensive. Then they're small and expensive. Then they're small and cheap.
Right.
Right. And so, and available widely, and it's inexpensive. Well, they might be also cheap, but they're inexpensive. And yes, also that. So, if there's a day where I have a printer, a digital printer on my desk in my kitchen, a replicator, and I walk up and I go, tea, Earl Grey hot. I walk up and I go, I need 10 war jackals. We're going to be out of business. If that's all we do.
That's all we do.
Right.
Right.
So what's important to us for the Faelon game line is Faelon.
Right.
If you're going to be in that world and role playing, you're going to do this. If you're going to be in that world playing a board game, which we'll eventually do sooner or later, you'll be doing this. If you're going to be in that world and LARPing, if you're going to be in that world and maybe a video game, who knows? If you're going to be in that world playing tabletop miniatures, there may come a day where you don't buy the physical miniatures from us.
Right.
Right.
And we're fast approaching that. It seems like.
Yeah.
It seems like that technology just gets better and better.
Yeah. It is better and better. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to be Blockbuster, Radio Shack, or BlackBerry.
Right.
We want to be ahead of the game. If it's going to shift to here, we're going to shift and be there. So if all of a sudden anybody can go on to a super user friendly application and create a model, and then have it printed without anybody from some external company doing anything, that's not what we're going to be making.
That's right.
Right. We're going to be doing something else.
Right.
The one thing they can't take from us is Faelon.
Right. Our IP.
Yeah, the IP. And so we're going to be expressing through the IP whatever the right way to express it is. If it's eventually through VR goggles, we'll do VR goggles. Today we're making tabletop miniatures. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Same with the other worlds we might open.
Right.
So we're going to give the gamer value in our IP and a reason why it's fun to identify with the characters of our world.
Right.
Maybe that'll be tabletop miniatures for a while, and maybe it'll be a while longer. We don't know.
Yeah.
We have to be ready to move when the time comes.
Agile.
That's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You gotta stay agile.
Yeah.
And we've been very agile this last year, and honestly, we've been agile the whole time that I've been with the company, because we continue to change and we continue to adapt. And I love this idea we were talking with Colin and Jeff. And Colin and Jeff are our other members of the design team, about getting.
Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, well,
Thing one thing too, because they're not here to defend himself. Like use all the different names I call them.
Right.
My design brothers, frickin' frack. Yeah.
So I love this idea that we're pushing forward with something, because we do have a lot of things on Simmer right now.
We do.
We have a whole lot of things on Simmer. We have things on Simmer with our IP. We have things on Simmer with Brightsword. We have things on Simmer with board games. We've got all of these different things that we're exploring. I like to think about it, exploring it. We have to rubber meets the road at some point. So that's awesome. That's a cool thing. And we're going to see that this week, huh?
Which?
The
team. We're going to talk about which one. You know what the choices are. We're just going to recommendation.
Yeah.
You may have touched it at Adepticon.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, secret. What did he say? I don't know.
He's just over here.
That's right.
All right. So, the future of DGS games. Since we're coming up on a time crunch here, I just want to kind of future of DGS games. What's your dream for the company? What's your personal?
We've talked about this. The seven of us in the back of a yacht that goes to Dubai. A bunch of minions are loading shit into Jet Con's rental hall. What are we talking about this for? We know what the dream is.
Maybe I should rephrase that question. That's what we want to see us doing, right?
Well, so here's the thing. I want to expand the dream. We want to be a profitable company, obviously.
Sure, we do. Yeah.
So we can continue.
Yeah.
A. B. I am about to retire from my day job, and I'm going to be doing DGS full time.
What's the United States going to do
My
when
dream-
that happens?
Fall. Oh my God! Don't get me started. We only have about 10 minutes. Don't get me started. Okay, right? So I'm getting out of the war business.
Yeah.
So, the dream I have is that the other 6 of my partners join me. Right. And we part of making that happen is the profitability of the company going into where people can safely leave. Enough of the money coming in, it allows them to move from what they're doing to DGS full time. Because I'm already going to do it. So it doesn't apply to me.
Right.
So it's about you guys. So we need to get to where, the company can sustain that, and expand all these things and bring all the different, I got to bring Faelon in. Let's help Colin put on Shadow Streets and Shadow War out there.
Right.
Let's have Jen,
Right.
do the kind of horses she wants to make. I don't know, whatever it is she wants, right?
Horse world.
Julie retires and a real CFO comes up. 'Cause we can't get through a work session. We couldn't get through a day in Seattle without her saying, "I'm not really a CFO," Right? So she's just the girl in Holland with her fingers in the dike, keeping the water. I bet. Colin and Jeff, Jeff bringing Brightsword, the expanded Brightsword up to, I'll tell you, that's exciting.
That is very exciting.
The things that are being worked on to expand and refine Brightsword are as good or better than Brightsword itself.
Right.
It's just so much goodness coming, but we recognize that a living rule book is not the right way to express that for a role player. It needs to be an art-filled physical product.
Right.
With all the imagery and all the background, the lore, and all the things that go with that. And so it's going to be our first significant printed book. Will be the new Brightsword. So another project. I want to have him, have that space. Matt Green, sitting on a catwalk. Red skull light,
right,
overlooking the production of whatever it is we're making. I don't even know. Hydro weapons, doesn't matter. Each of us to have that same joy I get out of talking about Faelon, something I created. Whatever. We all have that same space. You're in a conversation. You've written your first Faelon novel.
Right.
And you're sitting in the author's part of Gen Con instead of the,
that would be
whatever, right? Okay, whatever it is that you want, right?
Right.
So, which also includes this effort. I was sitting on the back deck of a large yacht off the coast of Dubai.
Sure.
Skyping with the crew. So, I'll see you there because I'm going to start.
That's exactly right.
That's right. So, that's we want the people to be. Let me take one step back. Back when we first started, somebody did ask me at a con very early on, early Disney, just before the crew that we have now. Somebody standing in the booth said, "So, when will you say you've arrived?" And he didn't mean you, John. I meant DGS.
Yeah.
Right. When will you say your company's right? When I'm at Gen Con and I'm at a seminar or some event and I'm looking out over a group of Faelon cosplayers.
Right.
Okay. So I take that dream too.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a
But
great.
the IP is well known enough and makes people happy enough that they want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to be the Ravenblade. They want to be the Black Rose. They want to be, I don't know, Andrew Potter wants to be a Shellback. Not the fuzzy suit. Yeah. Whatever, right? Just Eris comes in a mechanical Kyrgyzar.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever. But that's also on that list. Just it's a luxury pursuit. It's a gaming industry thing. We're here to make people happy. We want to make more people happy than we're making.
Yeah.
Just keep adding to the list.
Right. So last question along that vein.
Okay.
Because I think that DGS's relationship with its customers.
42.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
Gosh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can just wrap this
We're
up.
done. Yeah.
DGS's relationship with its customers, I think, is one of the most unique. I hate to say unique selling point, but
Right.
it is. It's very unique in our industry that we have such a clear.
It's hard to be objective, but it does seem different.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So where will our customers, our players, our listeners figure into this future of Faelon?
We need to, I think we're already doing a good job of connecting the players to the world and allowing them to play in it directly. Make changes, be part of it, be part of decisions.
Right.
Not make decisions.
Right. Be part of decisions.
Be part of decisions. There's a difference there.
Big difference there, yes.
We can expand it. We can do better.
Sure.
You know, I would like to not sit in our laurels and say we're really good at connecting our players to the world, but keep doing the things we're doing. How can we, find better ways, more ways to have the players come along on the ride with us? And then one of the cool things about the Shadow War world, right? This other world that we're making that, is Colin's baby, is that we'll be able to run into that knowing all the things we know now about Faelon.
Right.
How are we going to let them play in that space from the get-go?
Right.
And what can we add,
right.
To make them feel that they're part of the world? They can actually influence things.
Yeah.
So, and we learned a lot with Nevedum, for example, the campaign we recently
huge amount
done, and we'll take that directly into the next campaign and expand, their actual role and give them an opportunity to feel like they're a character in that scene.
Right.
And try to keep expanding that every time. Whatever we did last, that's the baseline for what we're going to do next.
Make the jump.
Yeah, make it.
Right. That's the next jump. All right. We are out of time, guys. Thank you very much for listening today. Next episode is going to be 20. It's going to be a big one. We have a cool plan for that.
We do.
I think you guys are really going to like it. I have a great plan.
You have a great
yes. We'll see how that comes out.
Let's think about it.
It's going to be a great one. You guys will be hearing this probably a week or so after we've recorded it. There's so much coming up. We're just barreling towards Gen Con, I feel at this point, right?
It's crazy to be in May and feel like you're barreling towards.
I know, but we've got all these new releases, and you and I were just sitting here before we started recording talking about our volunteer team there and about all of the events that we're hosting and
more events than we've ever hosted.
More events than we've ever hosted. So it just continues to grow, and we're just moving towards so many things. There's so many good DGS things coming up. Folks, you can be part of this world. You can be part of our decisions. You can be part of the world itself. Jump on the Discord. Go to the Sleeping Grush channel. Let us know what you want us to talk about, what you want to hear, what you're liking so far, and what you're not, right? Because that's how we get better, is through feedback. So jump on there, let us know. Keep communicating with us through Discord. We've got all these channels, all these different things going on. Our painting community is just stupid good. There's people on there every day that are painting live. You can jump in and paint with them, and talk, and have a good time.
Very true.
There are folks discussing rules. There's folks discussing the world. All of these different things going on our Discord, the World of Faelon Discord. Jump in there, find a place that you really want to explore, that you really feel comfortable, and become part of Faelon. So, thank you all very much. Oh,
one thing I want to add,
John must have.
So when we sign off, what I say is the last thing in the just because it ties into what you're just saying.
Yeah.
Is the phrase Sil Sakava, which is Faelish for fortune in battle or luck in battle.
Yeah.
Right. We have a Faelish.
We do.
So we have a language, we have more than one.
Several.
And that the choice of that outro is from a contest.
Yeah.
A player won it by going into World Anvil, where we keep all of our lore, and determining how to say that in one of our languages.
Right.
That's just the tiniest scratch of the kinds of things that are currently possible and going to be possible. Tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
Tip of the berg vice. Yes, sir.
The berg of ice. All right, folks. Thank you all for listening. We love you guys, and we're really, really happy that you're part of this crew and part of this adventure with us. So until the next episode, we'll see you around the table.
Sil Sakava.